Distinct Kusai.
I'm Jukebox Hero.
I'm Scufflewick, and I'm the pretty one.
This is Distinct Kusai.
I'm Jukebox Hero.
I'm the missus.
And today, we have a few games we've been playing, some tech news that's local for us and others, and a couple of movies that we've been seeing. And we're also going to be talking for our main topic about educational technology today. So, let's start off with our games we've been playing recently. How about you start, Jukebox?
Well, this one probably goes for the missus too. I've only been playing Pokemon Go.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been a pretty significant update. Have you heard about it?
I've just vaguely
Like
heard
the
about
gyms?
Yeah,
The raids?
so the entire gym system has been revamped and now includes raid battles.
I don't understand the raid battles.
No?
Yeah, I
Not
don't quite get
really.
it either myself.
So, the way raids work is an egg will appear above a gym with a timer. When the timer hits 0, the raid will begin. The egg will hatch into whatever super-powered Pokemon. So, like yesterday, I was fighting a 4000 CP Bayleaf. So that's Chikorita's evolution.
I did see in one of the gyms down here that there was like a 11,000 muck or something like that.
Yeah, so that's one of the raid Pokemon. And there's different levels of difficulty for raid Pokemon. So mine was a level 1. Level 3 is approximately 17 to 20,000. Level 2 is kind of like mid to low 10,000s. I haven't seen a level 4 yet, and I don't know if there's a level 5, but I do know from the screenshot when they announced this that there was a 25,000 Tyranitar. So that's pretty hefty. But anyways, you go to the gym, the Pokemon will sit atop it for about an hour, and then once that hour's gone, it's just disappeared. And you and however many buddies you're with can fight against it together. And if you beat it, you will have a chance to catch it. At a reduced CP, of course.
So
And
did
the
you go to
formula?
that raid by you this morning?
I didn't. I was actually watering my plants because it was another Bayleaf. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, the formula for what CP the Pokemon you have a chance to catch is equal to about 300 plus the CP of the raid Pokemon divided by 10.
Okay.
Yeah, so that 4000 CP Bayleaf that I was fighting, the one that I actually caught, was about 700 CP.
Wow.
It's just a nice way to get Pokemon that you may not already have. Like, I don't know many people who have a Mach, right?
Yeah, I don't have one yet either.
Yeah, I think Mom might be the only one.
I
Of course. So
feel like I'm getting close though.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I've got like 30, and I think you need 50. Or am I
Yeah.
wrong?
No, that's it.
Yeah, so I've got like 30.
I feel
Candies.
close on a lot of things.
Yeah, same.
I tend to hit 32, and then they just stop showing up.
I'm really sad because like that event is over. They had that fire event, right?
Oh, yeah?
And there was Charmanders everywhere, right?
You didn't get one?
I am 6 Charmander candies away from getting a Charizard.
Oh my god.
And there's never any Charmanders or anything like that.
That has to be your buddy.
Well, don't be too sad. I was away for most of that event, so I didn't even get anything from it.
Not that you play much anyway.
I play a little bit,
Rarely.
but you know, like with lab work and field school, it makes it hard. There was no historical monuments or anything for Pokemon Go. A few kids tried playing out in the field, but there's literally nothing. I think the nearest place that has anything is like Hannah, which is like 100 kilometers away. Good luck playing Pokemon Go on that scale.
Actually, if you're out on country roads and you use an incense,
You can get
you
Pokemon.
tend to get strange things. Not just Pokemon, but like uncommon Pokemon.
Well, that may be where I was at a Bison kill. Maybe that's where I could have got myself a Taurus, you know?
Yeah, maybe. My girlfriend was in Calgary briefly the other day, and I was hoping that she would get a Taurus, because the only two places I know that you can get them, even though they're locked to North America, is Calgary and Texas. You know, the two places with major rodeos.
Well, I was about an hour and a half away from Calgary.
You should have tried.
I should have tried, but, you know, like that and the reception out there was kind of spotty. So,
Anyways.
I haven't been playing much Pokemon Go, but I have started to play Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pains, you know, that game. And so far, haven't played a lot of it, but I'm liking it. It reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 4 a lot, but without the old Snake in there. But
Okay.
I like it. It's a little more actiony than the last one. So, but I like it.
Would be. Isn't was that the last one Kojima worked on, or was he fired before that?
This was the last one he worked on.
Okay.
And probably the last one he'll ever work on, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, he's gone from Konami now.
Yeah, because Konami's kind of a fucking idiot.
Yeah, Konami sucks, but that's okay. He can go do better things.
Oh, come on, but that means I'm never going to get a Metal Gear Solid 6. That's decent.
Well, maybe.
It's kind of like his love child, and I don't think they have the balls enough to actually try doing a 6th one on their own. If they do, it's going to turn out like a Halo 4 or 5.
Just go back and play Snatcher.
Yeah.
His original baby.
Yeah, he makes some pretty fucking sweet games.
Yeah.
That being said, his new game coming out, his studios, the people working for his studio are supposedly really confused about his idea for Death Stranding, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good. Actually, you know what? Speaking of Konami, the girlfriend was out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And she went into this craft store because they were doing quilting stuff. And it also happened to do consignment. And she found me six PS2 games for $20.
Oh, did you find a Metal Gear Solid?
Nope, but she did get Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill 2.
Oh.
They also had Silent Hill 4, but I already have that one.
Yeah, Silent Hill. I haven't played all the games for it, but I really want to. And I'm gonna have to come by and like wrap that game at your house.
Yeah, do it.
Or board if I can.
Play to Silent Hill.
I need to switch. That PS3 I found. I still have to get it switched over to English. So I have to figure out how to navigate through that and get it into English.
Just watch a YouTube video.
I might just pull the hard drive out of my old PS3 and put it in.
You could have me do it. I can probably read the menus in Japanese.
Good point. I should get you over here and we could do that. So I do have something to talk about now that we're moving on to tech news.
Oh,
Yeah, what?
I am
just
here
rushing through
as well.
this. My God.
Well, we wanted a short one, and I thought you guys talked about Pokemon Go together. So, what games do you want to talk about?
You know what? I didn't even explain the gyms.
Yeah, he didn't even finish the gyms.
Okay, well let's get into that gyms then.
Okay, I'll do the gyms quickly so the missus can tell us what she's been playing. The gyms are a lot closer to what the actual main series games are like now. So you can only have 6 Pokemon in a gym. You can only have one of any type of Pokemon, so you can't have multiple, so you can't stack 5 Blissies in a gym.
Yeah.
And the way it works now is they have motivation signified by a heart meter above their head. As they lose motivation over time and from being defeated, the heart meter goes down. When the heart meter depletes, they get kicked out. You can go back to the gym and feed them berries to increase their motivation, but there's diminishing returns. So with each berry you feed one Pokemon, the less motivation will come back. And the way coins work now is for every hour you're in a gym, you get 1 coin. And then you get extra for being in for... It's 1, but you get extra for being in there for extended periods of time, like 10 hours, 24 hours.
Because, like, the first gym I was in for, like, 5 hours, and I got 53 coins. And then the second gym I was in for less than an hour, but I still got 3 coins.
Maybe there has to do something with defeating Pokemon or how many battles you've done too. Because I was in for about 20 hours, almost 20, and I got 50 coins. And I got a badge for defending a gym for 10 hours.
Wait, no, it wasn't 53, it was 43. But still.
That's still quite a bit. I mean, that's more than we would have normally got anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like any one day, I probably get like 10 if I happen to sneak into a gym. So what have you been playing?
Besides Pokemon Go, I've been playing Space Corgi a lot. And
Did you
my
beat your
new
record?
high score is
Flappy Bird?
70.
Oh my god.
It's much better than Flappy Bird. Sorry, distinct. It's got puppies. It's got puppies. So much
It's
better.
got cute puppies.
The other one had a cute little yellow bird.
Puppies are better.
Puppies are better.
It's a corgi with a space helmet. How can you not love that?
Soon enough, you're gonna like get so used to how the jumping mechanic works that you're gonna have a high score in like the thousands.
Yeah.
She's just gonna be like, I can't stop.
She'll have to stop when she has to go to work.
Yeah.
Or she'll get so good at it she can do all I drive. Yeah. It's the same day that the Transit Hotel in Edmonton closes. After 109 years of service.
That has nothing
Ain't
to
that
do
a
with
bummer?
anything.
I just felt like I'd throw that in there. Historical information.
That sounds like she just face palmed the keyboard.
No. That was my cable. Okay. So, are we good to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, in tech news,
It's okay
though,
to smack him.
in tech
too far
news,
away.
though, she can't reach me.
She has legs. She can move.
Yeah, that won't happen.
Or kick.
Nah, still too far away. But today with tech news, I would like to talk about something that's actually kind of local for us. But here in Alberta, the city of Edmonton, their mayor, Don Iveson, wants the city of Edmonton to be test grounds for Canadian self-driving cars, mainly because self-driving cars haven't been tested too much on winter roads. And
Yeah.
I'm happy about this because Edmonton drivers are horrible. And you know what? Those self-driving cars could not be any worse than most of the drivers in Edmonton.
Yeah, so even if they do fail, no one's really gonna notice.
They're going to get in so many crashes, though, because there's only going to be so many self-driving cars. But they're, like, infinitely more bad drivers.
Yeah, people will be running into them. It won't be the self-driving car running into vehicles. It'll be drivers not paying attention and running into the self-driving car.
Because might I remind you, we have Canada's worst driver.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we've had that a few times now.
Yes, we
There's only
have.
2 or 3, but I feel like Calgary won it a lot more.
Yes. And I'll point out, what makes Edmonton different is they have the one driver in that TV series that the host actually gave up on. The only one he ever gave up on. The only one he ever said, pull the fuck over, I'm getting the fuck out. And I'm done with you.
Yeah. I hate people.
And she, just so everybody knows, she lives on the north end of Edmonton, so just avoid that area. You'll be fine.
Don't say that.
It's already a known fact.
Just avoid an entire part of a city because of one driver.
If you've seen this lady drive, it's worth it.
I have. Actually, it was kind of funny because I recognized the arch for Strathcona, because that's kind of on a major Edmonton road, and they showed a clip in the show where she's like doing 100 kilometers down that road.
That's a 50
it's a 50
road.
zone at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw in the show her driving down that street that turns into Gateway.
It's she's a scary driver. And she's crazy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Though,
I wonder how these self-driving cars are going to calculate the coefficient of friction for ice and stuff.
Well, from my
or if they're just going to start braking sooner in general.
I think they brake sooner, but they are actually not so much. They don't calculate the friction. They're just really good at self-adjusting. So if they start sliding, they will try to self-adjust, and they're a lot better and quicker at it than most humans. So
that is true, but like, if they're driving as normally would, and then they start to brake as they normally would, but it's super icy, it like, will they know to go into the next lane, to go into the ditch, to go into a more powdery section, or are they literally just going to slide right through? Or are they going to start braking way before the light or something to kind of get an idea?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So you're talking
like,
about
I
braking.
don't know what variables they're going to start putting into that.
Yeah, I think that'd be about the only section. I think so. You're talking about specifically it's braking before red light, stop sign, stuff like that. Not so much sliding and swerving and stuff.
Yeah, not necessarily like the actual swerving part, just like as it's coming to a stop for a stop sign, if it happens to go through a patch of ice where it would like just slide right through the intersection or something, how does it account for that, and what correctionary paths does it have?
I know some of them are
I
programmed
assume
to
it'd be
avoid.
smart enough to be like, hey, there's nothing in this lane next to me, and just ditch into the next lane or something.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they can do that already. And I'm pretty sure they do that regardless of ice and snow and all that.
Yeah.
But I think the only issue is then after that, what does it do once it hits the intersection? Will it try to drive through the intersection, or will it try to bump the curb to slow down? Will it know to do that?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, is like the snow is really difficult. Like dry weather, these self-driving cars are better than humans, and always will be. But is it going to know how to slow itself down when it has almost no friction?
Yeah.
And that's something like people struggle with to do sometimes. So, and that's more of a knowledge-based thing to know, oh, hey, there's a snowbank there. I'm sliding. If I can get over far enough, I could use the snowbank to slow myself down.
Yeah.
Is the machine going to know to do that?
Yeah, because I know there's like self-learning and all that stuff, but for the most part, the stuff has to be programmed in beforehand. So what techniques are they going to be teaching these cars?
I know for a bit they probably will have drivers in the car with it, just not driving. Like you know, like those cars they teach you on, and there's two steering wheels, one for the. Yeah, they kind of, I know for a fact, do something like that with them, and if it starts messing up, they usually take control and use that as a learning experience for the program.
Yeah.
But
it'll be interesting.
I'm honestly all for it, because the sooner we get self-driving cars in Alberta, the sooner, we don't have to worry about Alberta drivers anymore.
Yes.
They're always in a hurry. That's the thing, is like, I think that's what's going to get frustrating if ever becomes mandatory to have self-driving cars. I feel like people here are just going to be like, these things are too slow, and they're going to be complaining because the self-driving car is going the speed limit.
I'm going to be the only one okay with it, because I'm like the only person in this fucking province who does the speed limit.
See, I don't mind when people go 10 kilometers over, but if anybody who ever visits Alberta, if you're on the QE2 highway that runs from Edmonton to freaking Calgary, you could be going 160 and somebody will pass you like you're fucking standing still. We've had people get reported for driving more than 250 kilometers per hour on that highway.
Yeah.
and do the conversion for that in miles, but that's a lot of fucking speed. And this isn't a flat highway. I don't know, like, I don't know if you've ever been on an Alberta highway before, any of you listening, but they don't exactly make our highways smooth and flat here. So, I don't know how you stick on.
We get the aftermath.
Yes.
Neurotrauma.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I zoned out there. The conversion's about 150 miles per hour.
Yeah, and I know people in the past who have done that haven't been reported who've done 200 miles per hour on that highway. So that's pushing 300 kilometers an hour.
Sure.
And I don't know.
320.
So yeah, I don't know how people stick on that highway. In my stupider years, I've done 180 on that highway, and that's scary as fuck being on that highway at 180 because you hit a little bump and you get a little bit of air.
So I'm gonna move on from how stupid Distinct and his friends were to some other tech news about Wi-Fi.
Yep, let's go on to Wi-Fi because there's some big news for that.
Yeah, so there's a new standard of sorts called 802.11ad. What that is 60 gigahertz Wi-Fi. What you probably have in your house is either 2.4 or 5 gigahertz.
Both.
Yes. So
our 2.5 is the RCMP surveillance moose.
And our 5 is Harold, because there's another person in our area close by that has Kumar. So when you look up our Wi-Fi, you can see a Harold and a Kumar.
There was Asshole Central a while ago.
Yep.
Asshole Central. They must have moved out because I don't see it anymore. But
no, they're still here.
That's probably a good thing if they're assholes.
I once saw one that said "fuck off."
Yeah, I think I've seen that one too.
Back to the news.
Sorry,
so the 60 gigahertz wavelength is rated for up to 4,600 megabits per second. So that is pretty much as fast as a wired line, is what they're getting at. The only problem is because the wavelength, as it shortens, the distance between you and your router shortens too, like where you can actually get a signal. So you have to be within a direct line of your Wi-Fi router if you want to get the full speed or even be able to use it, because this thing will not go through walls. Like, it won't even go through people.
Yeah, I don't know, and I find that weird because in our apartment, our 2.4, you can basically get almost no signal from it about 20 feet away through one wall. But our 5 one, you can get a almost a full signal through that same distance through that wall. It's weird.
That's actually pretty strange. You might have a lot of interference, or your router might just be shit, because the general idea is if you have 2.4, it should be able to reach outside to your yard if you live in a house. 5 gigahertz should be able to be within the house, and 60 gigahertz is like across the room with nothing in your way.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I find it weird. My only explanation is because we live in an apartment building, is there must be a lot of other people using 2.4 to the same frequency we're set at. You can jimmy the frequency if you go online and go to and make the adjustments with our router. But a lot of people in this building are with the same internet provider, and there's only so many frequencies you can variances on that frequency you can make. Yeah. So there's 15 apartments per floor in our building, and there's 27 floors. So, yeah, and most people are using the 2.4. I know people in this building that didn't realize their router they got from our provider, and we're using the same provider, has both 2.4 and 5. They didn't realize that.
Yeah. That's kind of a new thing, because since 5 gigahertz came out, things like printers, faxes, and whatnot will start using the 5 gigahertz line. And if you don't have 5 gigahertz, then you can't connect those things. Or the other way around, if you now have a 5 gigahertz line and your printer works on 2.4, you won't be able to connect them.
Yeah. I like having both, because then I let the missus use the 2.4, and then I use the 5 for all my stuff.
I think I'm on the 5 now.
Yeah. Have you switched over on some things?
Yeah, because I don't know the password for the moves.
My password's fairly simple. It's in Leak, and it's a swear word.
Yeah, this happened while I wasn't here.
That was Scufflewick who set it up for me. Yeah.
Of course
Not
it was.
If I was here.
He's like, we need a password for it. I'm like, gotta make it whatever the fuck you want. And he's like, he made it that. And I was like, really? Really? And I've just been too lazy to change it. And it's been 3 years now.
Yeah. Anyways, Mrs., do you have any tech news?
I do not. Nor do I have geek news. But I have really funny news.
Let's hear your funny news. We'll fit this in. Go.
There's 2 things. The first one is that there's this ugliest dog contest. And the dog who won its name is Martha. She's a Neapolitan Mastiff. And she is not ugly at all. She is adorable. She is so cute.
Adorable.
Yes.
Could you by chance get a picture in the Discord?
I'll just send you a link to the article.
Okay.
But, so, she won $1,500, a trophy, and a trip to New York for media appearances and stuff. But this is just a mean contest, because dogs are not ugly, except for Scufflewick's. His is ugly. But, dogs in general...
so flappy.
I know, right? She's so cute. Okay, and then my other news. Have you guys heard about the toe ordeal?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Explain it.
Okay, so in the Yukon, they have this bar that has this special drink that you can only get from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it's called the Sour Toe Cocktail. So it's hard liquor with a mummified toe in it. And it's a real human toe. And what you do is you have to drink it and you have to let the toe touch your lips. And then you get like a certificate and everything. It's kind of a big thing. Like, anyways, so what happened was some guy, he stole the toe. And
how dare he?
Yeah, I know, right? And it was a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was all the newspapers. It was on the news. Like, there was updates, like, every other day. Let me see.
Didn't he apologize? Like, he can't...
Yes, he did. So, there's a fine for swallowing or stealing the toe because they have had people swallow it purposely, which is disgusting.
Gross.
It's $2,500.
It's just like, hey man, we're gonna have to dig through your shit.
It used to be $500 until 2013 when another big news article, this guy purposely drank the toe and just put $500 on the table and was like, whatever. And so they increased it so people stop trying to swallow their toe.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the toe, this current toe, because it's not the original toe anymore, but the current toe was donated by a man who had it surgically removed. And it was cured in salt for 6 months so that it could mummify.
Gross.
Yeah.
Did he have it removed for a good reason, or was it literally so people could kiss it?
I would assume it's for a good reason. But I would also assume that you can't just donate like a gangrenous toe or anything. So
I feel
Right.
like knowing the country and the fact that it's important,
Diabetes.
I feel like he probably donated it just as a thing.
I don't know. But anyways, so they found, like, they had the guy's name for the certificate and he left it behind. So they knew exactly who took it, but they were waiting for him to send it back. So finally on Thursday, they got a package with the toe and a letter of apology. And they're not laying charges because the guy returned it.
Still, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
My God, it's hard enough to get a hold of human body parts, you know, like.
Yeah. And it is actually really gross looking. Like, if you Google the sourdough cocktail, blah, it's so gross.
It's like those newfies who kiss the cod.
Ugh.
You know,
Make out with a fish.
I sometimes wonder how they get a hold of these body parts sometimes other than donation. Because I was once at an expo and there's these guys who sell animal bones, but they also happen to have 3 human bones, including a skull, being sold. I'm like, where the fuck? And it was a real human skull. It wasn't fake. It wasn't composite. It was an actual, legitimate human skull. And I'm like, where the fuck did you get this? And they wouldn't tell me.
So,
Illegally.
the original toe
Yeah.
was found in 1973, and it was discovered in a jar containing the amputated toe of a rum runner who had it removed after a bout of frostbite in the 1920s, and then preserved it in alcohol in his cabin. And then they found the toe and they were like, let's make people kiss it.
It's like, hey, this will get us in the newspapers.
Yeah, so like first people did it on a dare, but then it became a whole thing. And
That's
the first one was lost in 1980 when this guy was trying for the record. And so on his 13th glass of the sourdough cocktail, his chair tipped over backwards and he accidentally swallowed it.
So that's where you get a hospital trip and you pull that shit out.
No, because no one's going to want to put it in their drink.
It just fell into stomach
I
acid.
mean, it's
They're
already
already-
kind of disgusting.
Yeah. And it has to be served in hard liquor for health certificate reasons.
Gross.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'd call that geek news.
It's definitely.
It's not geeky, it's hilarious.
With both.
And people need to know about it. Super important Canadian news.
Obviously. It's in all the newspapers.
Yeah, for real.
Either that or it's just a really slow news week.
No, it's kind of a big deal.
Okay.
So, is it all right for us to move on? Is it to move on a little? Yeah, I have something.
Okay, you do yours, then I'll do mine.
My thing, and it is related to a couple articles that came out actually today, talking about Sony's stance on cross-platform play, like game, like say if you had Minecraft and connecting and considering now what I think 3 consoles could have that on it, they
Pretty much every console.
yeah, there's been suggested that maybe they should just connect the servers so people on Xbox can play people on Xbox 360 can play people on the Switch, you know, back and forth, right?
Well, that'd be kind of nice.
It would be kind of nice, and the only company, and I love this company, but this is such a dumb thing that they're holding out on. they do not want to do anything like that. And the reason for it, in a lot of people's opinions, from my understanding, and including mine, is a very stupid reason.
What is it?
Quoting here, we've got to be mindful of our responsibility to our install base. The Minecraft, the demographic playing that, you know as well as I do, it's all ages, but it's also very young. We have a contract with the people who go online with us, that we look after them and that they are within the PlayStation curated universe. That's the reason.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and I like it.
It makes sense, but it's also an old reasoning, and I get it in a way, but it's also the only person standing in the way of connecting. Considering, I think, from my understanding, Microsoft is up for it, and so is Nintendo on some of their games, especially if it's platform crossability between them.
I mean, if it works out well for Nintendo, Sony might jump on, but as it is, you know.
See, yeah, I understand the whole curated universe, but that's more like exclusive games, like, you know, like Until Dawn. Like, yeah, like we don't want to give up our item. It's our game. We put it on our console. But as far as online experience for cross-platform games, you're talking about. I'm
more surprised that Nintendo's in there. But
yeah,
if someone was playing on the PlayStation cross-platform online with Minecraft, and then someone from the Xbox community comes on and starts, you know, throwing out a bunch of like racial slurs and stuff because they're playing on Sony's platform, they may try and sue them. They may try and get, you know, some remittance. You know, they might throw a fuss online about how horrid it was playing it on Sony. So it's just the fact that if it came from somewhere else, Sony would have had no way of stopping it. Whereas if it was from within their own community, they could at least, you know, like ban the person.
I feel like it'd be a fairly simple thing to problem to fix. For one, like maybe like not mentioning which server, like having one big server for all the games, something that all three companies control. I'm sure the three companies can agree on a provision, and you can already block players. All Sony would have to do is like, well, this player, he's no longer allowed to play with anybody on Sony. So if he wouldn't be able to connect to any servers.
That only blocks him from people from Sony. That doesn't mean he has to stop playing or anything.
No.
Which is the point of a ban.
But a ban, then in that case, if they have they should make an agreement. Most of them are already up for this. All it would take is all three companies being like, if I block somebody from your server, are you guys willing to then ban him from on the console on your end? And they just make an agreement where they were all willing to do that. It'd be a simple fix. It would work, and then we could finally get something that honestly I know quite a few people have been wanting, is when there's a cross-platform game, being able to play people from other consoles. Like, I used to love playing Call of Duty. It would be really nice to not just play people from Xbox, but play people from the PS3 and PS4 as well. It'd be kind of nice. Gives you more options, gives you more games to play, and different people. So, I don't know. I feel like it'd be a simple solution to make that all right, especially with cross-platform games. But I guess it would mean that the companies would actually have to work together a little bit. So
yeah, good luck with that.
I think it is a bit of a
see how it works for Nintendo, and then maybe Sony will catch on, because like the fact that Nintendo is doing it is more surprising to me than Sony not doing it.
Yeah. And was it right now? There are some games that are actually already cross-platform between like as far as their servers. There's a couple of games that are now on the same servers for both PC and Xbox.
Okay, but that one's no surprise at all, because those are both Microsoft.
Yeah.
If you think of it more generally, it's the Microsoft platform.
Yeah. But, like, I think this is an issue that needs to be eventually addressed, because, like, all the consoles are about the same power now, especially between Xbox and PlayStation. There's a lot of games that are on both, and the only difference really is that I bought mine on PS4 and some other poor sucker bought his on Xbox One. So, And I think it'd just make the community larger, and the bigger the community, the funner shit is. So
Maybe.
it could be, potentially. But, I think it's kind of
Perhaps,
interesting.
maybe, who knows.
Yeah. One day.
So I'm gonna drop, or the missus, do you have any input on that?
No.
No.
No? Okay, then I'm just gonna drop my news real quick. The gracious Gaben came forth and said, "Let there be sales." And the Steam Summer Sale happened. Actually, it's still happening.
The disappointing sale?
Is it disappointing?
It's not their best sale.
I don't know. It's pretty fucking huge. Like, I got an email. Literally everything on my wish list is on sale. Up to 75% off. That's pretty big. I didn't see what the big ones they're pushing on the front page are or anything, but like, the summer sale is like their biggest sale. That one and the Christmas one.
There's only a few games I would want, like Watch Dog and Grand Theft Auto 5, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The game that Scufflewick plays is on sale as well, so I might jump on that and play with him a little bit on there, which is Ark. The game he's been playing for like the last how many months. But I don't know. I'm scrolling through it, and there's just so much indie games that I'm like, I want some big titles here for sale.
I know Skyrim is half off.
Yeah, I am interested in getting Total War Warhammer, which would be nice. But no, there's not. I don't know. I'm just scrolling through it. I don't know if it's just my
GTA
Steam.
5, Dishonored, Life is Strange, the F1 series, Yooka-Laylee, Sniper Elite, Watch Dogs. Batman, Fable.
Maybe I'm just being crusty about it.
Maybe. The sale actually seems good to me.
No, it's just every time
Rick and Morty virtual reality.
It's just every time I pull up in that today's highlights, it's all indie games for me. Every time I do it.
Okay, right now, top sellers, which all have between 20 and 80% off. Dishonored 2, Witcher 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, Civilization 6, XCOM, Fallout 4, Nier Automata, Shadows of Mordor, Doom, Tomb Raider, Rocket League, Stardew Valley. There's a lot, dude.
I'm probably just being crusty. It's maybe just not the right games for me popping up. Nothing on my wish list is on sale.
Not that you need to buy more games.
Shh, it's all right. It's the life.
I'm probably not gonna get anything. I don't have money.
It's one finger death punch.
Neither does Distinct, but he seems to think he does.
I have $16 I can waste.
Mr. Moneybags over here.
I might be able to pop it up $26.39 for Outlast 2.
Okay, we should move on to movies.
Yes.
Yes. And I think we've all seen the same movie recently that came out on Netflix, which is Moana. Disney's Moana, to be specific. Not to be confused with the Italian pornography actor Moana. Which
I don't think anyone will be confusing that except Scufflewick.
Well, I'll point out, nobody in North America. They actually had to change the name of the movie in Italy. Because if you type up Moana while you're on the Italy's end there in Google, she comes up more often than the movie does.
I'm just gonna go to the Italian Google for a second.
There's a whole article on it.
Google.it. I'll load faster. front page, nothing but Disney.
Ah. When it first came out, they had issues, and I'll even show you an article from back then.
And I
It's
can
weirdly-
tell you from scrolling through the pictures, nothing but Disney.
Which is weird, considering I there's like a whole bunch of articles saying why they had to change the name of the name. It was changed to
Wait.
Vienna in Italy. So it's called Vienna instead of Moana.
I found something. I had to scroll quite a ways, though. So that's been fixed, but once again, Scufflewick's probably the only one who would have been confused.
I don't know. I think that girl's actually pretty famous in Italy. Not just for her porn, but for other shit as well. She's a celebrity over there.
Right.
It's like if you
So
named
let's-
a movie Gwyneth Paltrow and, to avoid confusion, gave it another name.
That's a stupid name. Let's get back to the actual movie part of this, though.
Oh, yes. So what'd you guys think of it?
I love
It was
it.
okay.
It's so cute.
It was a lot better than I had hoped. Like, it wasn't anything I didn't expect, though.
It's definitely a Disney movie, but I do like that they poked fun at the whole Disney princess thing.
Yes.
Just hilarious.
Was the other night when you watched it, the first time you watched it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, I knew literally zero about it until I actually watched it, except Polynesian stuff, the character, the pig is awesome, and so is the chicken. And
I really
Lin-Manuel
like
did some
roosters.
songs.
So that's another thing. That I liked about this movie is the music and a lot of the stuff in it. This is like the first Disney movie where they've like put so much effort to not step on the original culture's toes when doing a film. They worked with traditional bands. Actually, I'm hoping I don't pronounce this wrong, but a man named Opatea Foy, who runs traditional South Pacific music band called Tavaka, and they actually did the song "We Know the Way." So when you're listening to that is that band playing, and they also helped do a lot of the other music in the film as well. What's his name? You just said it.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's the guy
Yeah.
who did the Hamilton Broadway show.
Yeah, they worked together on a lot of the songs, especially where they were using that specific.
I'm gonna have fun editing this. The lady neighbor has decided to mow her lawn finally. And it's like right outside the window.
Well, we've got construction going on right outside ours, so.
But did you guys know that Moana the Disney movie did manage to step on toes despite their huge effort of working with anthropologists that work specific with Polynesian cultural stuff and a whole
Someone
bunch of
always has to get pissed, right?
But two
Who
things.
was it?
So
What was it?
a lot of the Polynesian culture, they were always going to step on toes. For one, they didn't step on Maori toes because that's the majority of who they worked with for that. But in some Polynesian cultures, Maui's a demigod or a god. Actually, it's demigod by Christianity folklore, but like my understanding, god from Polynesian culture. But what my understanding is that in some of the Polynesian cultures, it is actually blasphemous to depict Maui, their gods, including Maui, and on top of that, because of the way they depicted, some Polynesian people from certain Polynesian cultures thought they were depicting him as fat and Maui as fat and not muscular. So there was a whole bunch of controversies that they're trying to make him fit into a stereotype of that Hawaiian people and Polynesian people are fat.
That's stupid because he's built the exact same as The Rock.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that
what's
got
a caricature?
Yeah, so that got shot down pretty on. The only misstep I saw that they really took, and I get it, I'm an outside person, I'm not part of that culture, but I can understand why they were pissed off at this one, and I think it's a legitimate thing, is they tried to come out with a Maui costume for kids for Halloween.
Oh.
and it was basically a Maui suit that you put on top with all the tattoos.
So that was more of a cultural appropriation type deal.
Not only that, but I don't know if you know this, about because of their tattoos early on in like the 18th century, different cultures used to kidnap people from that were Maori for their tattoos and skin and tan them. So, which oddly enough looks like the costume that Disney was selling.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, no. But despite that, they just, when they realized somebody pointed that could be misinterpreted, they immediately pulled it off. They were announcing that they were going to come out with the costume, and the moment they found out that's how it was going to be taken, they immediately made an apology and pulled it from being produced for Halloween. So they just nixed it right then and there.
Well, I mean, at least they did something about it.
Oh, and yeah, that's what I mean. Like, this is like an amazing film for me. I love the music in it, but the fact that Disney has put so much effort into being culturally inclusive to another culture and being accurate to their culture and doing their best to not, be early Disney, essentially.
Yeah, racist crows and whatnot.
Well, this reminds me because, like, I'm in anthropology. We mentioned this on the show. We during my field school, we popped in the DVD Tangled, which is another awesome Disney film. But then I want you to imagine a whole bunch of anthropology students and graduates sitting there nitpicking some of the stuff in it, the costumes, and you're like, well, is this 16th century Europe in Germany, or is this something like the 1200s in Italy or Rome, or is this 18th century Western America?
Where is your suspension of disbelief?
They're just sitting there nitpicking it, and then you get Frozen, which then tried even more so to be more after getting. They actually did get criticized for some of that in Tangled. Well, and then after that, they became more accurate towards that. That was a Norwegian tale that Frozen was based off, and they did a really good job of trying to make the costumes accurate. They actually, in their featurettes, talk about that. They have a whole production crew that was like completely just research on everything from the clothing to the hairstyles to the architecture that they would be putting in the film. And then you hit Moana, and they bumped it up. Not only did they have people researching, they actually consulted with anthropologists for that and actual people from the culture. And I think Disney's actually trying to step up their game. Yeah, honestly, it's a fictional story. Doesn't mean that the things in it can't be accurate, though.
Yeah,
I feel like in society now, you need to be more accurate because people are going to catch on it more because they're becoming more aware of it.
See, and I like that they did this because it also allowed them to expand into non-white Disney princesses without stepping on people's toes. Like, the biggest one I know for that eventually got criticized was, Pocahontas.
She was never a princess, but yeah.
Yeah. Then you have...
Oh, wait. Was she? No, she was the chief's daughter.
Same thing. It's the same,
That's literally what happened in Moana. It's the chief's daughter.
Yeah. Then you have... Well, she's not a princess, but the Princess in the Frog movie.
Tiana.
They got a little bit of criticism from that. But, like, I get it. Like, these people are already sort of sensitive about racial stuff. Disney historically doesn't have the nicest viewpoints in their early days, so people are a little more hypercritical of them. And I like that they're actually like, no, we don't want to be like that anymore, but we do want to expand our stories outside, like, the Grimm's fairy tales and Western European and Eastern European folklore. And
Move over, Aesop.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing. Like, honestly, we need to have more than just, like, they need to stop rehashing the Grimm's fairy tales. As much as I love them, the Grimm's fairy tales, we need to move on from those. And I'm liking that Disney's actually trying.
This. You know the chicken? The super stupid awesome chicken?
Yep.
It's voiced by Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
And I don't
from
know
Firefly.
which character he does, but he's from Firefly and Serenity. Yeah.
He's the pilot.
Okay.
He went to Juilliard,
Yeah.
and now he's a chicken.
Hey, he did an awesome chicken.
I loved his scream. That was my favorite part.
I wonder what it was like being like, not only are you playing the chicken, but you were also playing the lowest intelligent character in that whole movie. Like, the ocean was more intelligent than that chicken.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be like, you have to pay me a lot for that. Not only are you making me do a fucking bird, but you're making me do a fucking stupid bird.
Yeah.
When the movie first came out, before I saw it, you'd go to like the Disney store or like literally anywhere. And till I saw it, I thought Pua, the pig, was gonna
Be the main.
be the main animal.
Oh, yeah,
Because
'cause, like,
there was nothing for the chicken. But there was so much
Yeah, and
merchandise for Pua.
I want to buy the DVD because I want to watch all the featurettes in it, because I feel like they have to mention that, because in the original teaser, I don't know if you guys ever watched the original teaser for Moana, but all it was Maui doing, I forget what it's called, but doing the dance with his thing, and then he looks over at, then it pans to Moana and her pig, and in the original trailers you don't see the fucking chicken. And which is weird because they make a point of showing that the pig was scared of the boat. You think, okay, she's on the boat with the pig. She's about to go to the ocean. Oh, the thing flips, and now the fucking pig's afraid of the boat. Like, what the fuck is going on here? How do you have this? I know for a fact from watching your teasers and trailers that the pig goes elsewhere, does it not? The pig meets Maui. Oh, the pig is adorable. Yes. The dad in the movie was a little frustrating.
I think that was the point.
But I love the grandma. The grandma was fucking sweet. We could only wish to
I
have
was like, oh man, there's gonna be some Life of Pi shit going on here, and then sure as shit, there was this glowy fucking manta ray.
I like the tattoo bit when they were showing the traditional tattoos and how they did them. And the guy's like, "Is it almost done?" She looks down and is just getting like the outline of the very beginning part of the tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh god, could you imagine getting a traditional tattoo? They still do that. There are
No.
people that still do traditional tattoos from different cultures. They try to make it as clean as possible so you don't get infections anymore. But there's still, like in Japan, there's people who do traditional tattoos there. There's still people in the Maori culture that still do traditional tattoos. There's some Tibetan monks that do it. There's some people in Thailand that still do traditional tattoos there as well. And people actually go from across the world to get these traditional tattoos versus the new ones with the guns. I'm like, I don't know if I could sit through, like, it's telling me, like, sit through getting poked by a needle a couple million times is one thing, but now you're telling me you're gonna take a very sharp object, dip it in ink, and then smack it against my skin a couple thousand times.
Yeah. It was a bummer.
I don't know if I could do that. And at least the way the Maori do it doesn't look as painful as the way the Japanese do their traditional tattoos. Holy fuck, does that look painful. But the fact that the Maori do it across their face too is like, oh, that's some sensitive areas to get smacked by. Even tapped by something sharp. That's a painful place to get a regular tattoo.
Yeah.
I just love that they actually showed a bunch of traditional stuff, and in their songs, the songs in the thing, they actually talk about how they do their traditional stuff.
I have 6 minutes.
Okay.
I think Moana's songs were my favorite of all the Disney songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like-
I thoroughly enjoyed them, except for the crab one.
I like that one.
Oh, you don't like Tamatoa?
Yeah.
That's the guy from
it
Fly of
is-
Conchords.
I know.
Did you see the end credit thing for him, though?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
As what were you saying about the songs, Mrs.?
Just that, like, it's probably my favorite, followed closely by Aladdin and Little Mermaid.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the Rocks one in there.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. Not moving on to the main topic, though, which is educational technology. We'll do a quick little stint on this because we were pushing our time.
Yes.
I don't know. I've noticed a big push, especially here in Alberta recently, for more educational technology. In elementary, junior high, and high school, there's now actually starting to put in, like allow students to bring laptops, not Palm Pilots, like tablets, shit like that into class.
Oh, good.
And I actually worked for a school district here in Alberta shortly, and the school district that me, the missus, and Scufflewick and Jukebox all went to has actually removed all their computer labs. They do not have computer labs inside their school district anymore.
Really?
Yeah, we removed them all in that one summer.
They probably all have the laptops.
Yeah,
now.
the portable computer labs.
The
now.
netbooks, the really little netbooks that come in like that giant trolley.
Yeah.
I hated those
They're
things.
really shitty now.
They're actually they've upgraded them now too, so they're actually a little better.
I would hope so, because I was there the first year they had those things, and they ran like fucking potatoes.
Yeah, they were the worst.
And some
Like,
school
they're
districts,
like, hey, turn this on and go to Microsoft Word, and it was like half the class later when it fucking loaded up.
yeah. Now things have improved since then. Some elementary schools and junior highs have upgraded to tablets, and there's now educational software that makes the class interactive, and you use the tablet. So this is slowly going to being that one movie with all that Star Troopers, with the giant insects. Do you remember that movie?
I didn't watch it.
In that thing, they all have computers, and the lessons are interactive, and the teacher would swing and put up quizzes on it, and it would just automatically update to all of them. They could monitor what was going on the screen. We're getting closer and closer to stuff like that nowadays. And actually, the big problem right now is having teachers that never grew up with it and never got educated on it, having to now learn that and being somewhat resistant to wanting to put that in their classrooms. Yeah. And I sort of get that, because if you don't understand the technology that's being used, then how are you supposed to teach with it, right?
I mean, we had university professors that were, stingy enough with like the top hat questions and the clicker.
Oh yeah, I love the eye clicker and the top hat, and it made things nice. Some teachers were a little annoying with it because they used it to check their attendance.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they're for.
But yeah, guys, if you're spending that money on that eye clicker, realize until some of the older professors start learning how to actually use it, it's just basically a glorified attendance checker. But there is more and more. Like, I get that there's some professors that are going to push back. Like, I had a professor that still has the physical drop-offs for all his homework and doesn't use the e-class. Or in some places, as it's called, Moodle. But more and more teachers are actually making the attempt, even though they're horrible. I had a professor I just had a class with who willingly admits he sucks with computers. Right? But he's making the effort to learn. So
That's good.
Do they still do like computer class in school?
yes.
Because that was a big thing for us.
So they still do that, but now what they do is they pull in those carts for the computers.
Yeah.
And the computer lab becomes the same classroom you're in.
I'm actually, now that I'm older, I'm disappointed with our computer classes. Because, I mean, we pretty much did them all the way through, like, junior high, part of elementary, part of high school, pretty much. So there was a lot there. And we practically did nothing except use, like, Microsoft Word, maybe Excel, and PowerPoint. Like, it was essentially, here's how you learn Microsoft Office. But if you think about computer classes in the 80s for places that had them, it's like, here's how you do C++. Here's how you do command line. It's like actual useful fucking computer things that could lead to a career in computers. Or
Yeah.
you know
That
what
is
I'm
kind of
saying.
disappointing. That's still a little disappointing, yeah.
Even now, once we got to high school, we had the one class as an elective of sorts where you could do Photoshop and a little bit of animation and stuff. And there's, I forget what it's called. I think it's called code blocks, where it's like, if this, then that, and it's like puzzle pieces, and you just stick them together to make games and stuff. And the idea is you stick them all together, and then you like flip them over within the program and it shows the code and then you learn the code. We never fucking did that. We just stuck the pieces together. Like most basic kindergarten type shit. And
some of the kids...
so disappointing.
Some of the kids did figure out how to do the flip and take a look at the code. No.
Yeah, but it wasn't required or anything of the class. Like, they never said, hey, you're going to learn to code. Here you go, do this. It was literally a waste of fucking time for like 2 weeks. I remember that.
Oh, yeah, so was that the Flash game course that they had at the high school?
No.
Because there was a Flash game course. There was a 3D digital design course.
That was the digital design one.
There was the photography editing course. He did a couple. He sometimes didn't do them certain years, mattering if he was busy. But that professor did do other classes in it. But it was of his own personal choice and what the school would let him do.
Yeah.
It wasn't required that he have these classes. He just went out of his way to try to do it.
It's just super disappointing because I still hear about like articles and stories and stuff from European classes where they're still teaching kids how to like code or use command line and stuff like that, where it's actually useful rather than Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, where fucking a kindergartner could probably figure that shit out on their own at this point.
Yeah. I don't and I didn't care so much because I learned how to do that as a young age before I even went into school. So I was on old computers on DOS, and you kind of need to know how to do C++ to a point just to play some of your games.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my little brother, no clue. He didn't even know what DOS was. He didn't know what C++ was until I told him.
Same.
Yeah. Well, it's not like we ever had to use it or grow up with it, but educating within schools, so, you know, the Microsoft Office Suite is a life skill at this point. But it's one they expect you to know, and it's one that people can kind of figure out on their own. It's like, hey, you have to type up this assignment. You're going to learn how to press fucking buttons and press save. But to actually educate people, to kind of hint them towards a career in, hey, you want to go into like game design, you want to go into programming, you want to go into IT, any of this stuff, they don't teach that shit. At least not within our curriculum. And I really like the places that do that stuff.
Yeah. No, there was a few schools in our town that they had teachers that tried to teach it if you asked, but yeah, like you're saying, it wasn't required. Like in my elementary school, weirdly enough, at a Catholic elementary school, we had a teacher that went out of their way to kind of show us stuff like that if we asked for it. But that's because we also spent 4 days a week in the computer lab in like grade 3. So yeah, it's weird being and I went to a public school after that where we were lucky if we stepped foot into a computer lab more than once or twice a month. So, and I feel like it's a thing I've talked about in some of my classes, and I was taught in some of my educational classes that right now a lot of this stuff is up to the teacher whether they want to do it. It's not a requirement for them to add this technology into their curriculum, but they are pushing for it. Like specifically here in Alberta right now, they are pushing to have more technology in class being used to assist the education.
Okay.
And like we've seen it, like the universities are usually the first place to start experimenting with stuff. So like, you have Moodle and eClass, which has been used here since before I graduated high school for a long time. But I only had one class in high school that used eClass, but now it's actually becoming, from my understanding, a standard thing inside high schools to use things similar to eClass and Moodle.
It just makes sense though, because it's like an organization thing.
Yeah.
And it works really well.
We had the Moodle in our high school when I was there.
Yeah, I remember, I'm not going to use his name, but bleep this out. It was that first brought it into the high school.
Yeah.
He was also the first one to have a smart board, and to consistently use his projector for other than putting up notes and watching movies.
I feel really, really bad for all you suckers using eClass. Because it is Moodle, it's just a different user interface. So, in the Faculty of Business, we had our own called Blackboard. Infinitely better layout.
Have you ever used the original Moodle layout?
Yes, in high school.
Oh, I used it over
because
at Nate.
it looked like it was created in the 90s.
Yeah.
It looked like a Netscape fucking webpage.
I had nostalgia flashbacks when I used it.
I can tell you for the Faculty of Business, I mean, there's only so much you can have for technology regarding business, so we have online trading platforms, we have different sorts of accounting software and analysis software and stuff like that where they teach you to use it. But I mean, the most advanced technology thing we have really is like having dual monitors.
Yeah.
Like that is something specific to our computer lab, so
Well,
I mean, there's
I
not a
feel
whole
like
lot they can really implement there.
I feel like those certain faculties and certain departments within the universities are more wanting to upgrade their stuff to better technology. You obviously have the engineering, the nursing, which had their, I'm sure the missus can speak to this, simulated dummy dolls to teach them how to nurse.
Yeah.
You have a whole bunch of, and like obviously the computer sciencing department, which, you know, their whole business is being up to date with that shit. You know what? Weirdly enough, I find my faculties, like the departments like mine, anthropology, are actually resistant to adding technology to their profession.
They don't even like when you use pens.
Yeah.
That's how resistant they are.
I asked, like, they told me, oh, these will be owned by the governments. They will be legal documents. I'm like, so I should be using pen? They're like, no, use pencil. I'm like, then it's not a legal document. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, legal documents use pen and pen only. And they're like,
well, if you use pencil, it doesn't mean it's not legal. It's just stupid because it can be changed.
Yeah, and if it comes up, if they ever have a court case where they need to bring it up and use it as evidence, it will just be straight up, no, we can't use that. I my first year over at Nate, we had an engineering professor teach us physics, and he warned us, do not, if you're using legal documents, do not use pencil or whiteout. And we asked him why. He says, I have been in more than one court case where evidence has been just straight thrown out because it was in pencil or used whiteout. And the guy who was using it got fired. Yet I have a whole department at the university where even the one TA poked fun at it. Some companies like the one he works for, which is a CRM company, I won't say the name, specifically uses tablets now. But the company that the other TAs work for on outside being TAs refuse to use anything past a physical notepad. The professor seemed against using certain technology, even though he's trying to use it for teaching, but using new technology within his profession, he was against a little. And you know what? The more and more I kind of talk to people, you know what I think it might be? There are certain departments that are afraid of bringing technology in because it might actually work some people out of a job.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny. During my grad, the honorary doctorate was given to the CEO of ATB, and he brought in a little robot on stage and was like, hey,
I saw
this is the guy who greets you at the door now. Learn how to, use this.
Her name was Pepper.
And
She was
which faculty is this?
Business.
The business? So if I go into the business building, it'll greet me?
No, it's in some of their
ATB.
banks.
Oh, I'll have to ask my cousin about that.
Yeah.
She just started working for ATB.
The idea was that you're in business, you have the tools and the knowledge to use this to your advantage to create more businesses and whatnot. Or, cost savings, whatever else. But also, it's going to be taking jobs.
Well, yeah, and honestly, I'm actually surprised it's something like anthropology that's afraid of things taking their jobs. Because historically, we've proven more than time and time again throughout human history that by taking certain jobs, we open up the ability for new jobs to be produced, and sometimes even more jobs. Biggest example, pottery. It actually took a lot of jobs away from certain people, but it also allowed us to store our grains. It created another profession, making the pots to begin with. And then it moved on from there and allowed you to also do art, literature, and stuff like that. Then you move up to the Industrial Revolution. Everybody thought factories would take away artisan jobs. Yes, it did, but then it also added a whole shit ton of other jobs that led us to today, which we have significantly more jobs now than we did during the Industrial Revolution. So people really shouldn't be afraid of technology taking the jobs. It just leads to new jobs and more jobs. So I don't know why even...
So there's a YouTube channel called, I think, I'm going to butcher, Kyrgyzstan. They do videos on current geoscience, political kind of topics, I suppose. One of the ones they did was automation, and I think it's worthwhile for everyone listening to go watch it. It kind of goes over how the old thinking is, hey, the innovation of technology creates more jobs in different areas and stuff like that, and how this time it's a little bit different.
It is, but it also opens us up for new stuff to be done, like always.
Yeah.
If let me put it this way: if we got rid of 70% of our jobs and we're giving them to computers, robots, and technologies, people will then find other things to do, and they will become jobs and become valuable. Just like when pottery came out, people thought art was silly back then because it didn't pertain to your survival. But the moment we started doing that, we had a whole revolution of art coming all the way up to the 20th century of paintings, and that created a whole bunch of jobs from the painters to the students to just different
all I'm
areas.
saying is go watch the video because it has a complete contrary view to everything you just said.
Oh, I know,
and it's interesting. And I say go watch the video because I have to go.
Yeah, but
Goodbye.
we'll end here, okay?
Bye.
So bye, Jukebox. Have fun editing this later.
I will.
We're gonna say goodbye to both me and the missus.
So only you get to talk about educational technology.
We'll let the missus talk about it before
missus
you.
talk.
Oh, yes.
No, I'm going, but you guys talk.
Okay,
see you.
bye.
The missus?
You need to shut up once in a while.
No! I refuse. Scufflewick's here not to take up the other half of this thing, so I'll talk. Take up the whole.
So,
Just teasing. But.
one of the educational technologies we use in the nursing faculty is the simulation dummies. And they're kind of terrifying looking. They're just these huge robots that are patients. And the person running the simulation can change like the breath sounds to different types. They can have bowel sounds. They can turn blue from cyanosis. They have pulses.
They piss themselves?
No. They have pulses going to like all the spots where you would find pulses on a normal person. And they are helpful because when you're learning, you're doing it on something
That you can't kill?
Well, yeah, but when you're assessing things, you can't kill them. So it was a little harder to do it on real people when we were learning. So it was quite easy and nice to have these terrifying looking dolls. But
I should mention the missus has a fear of mannequins, dolls.
just mannequins. They're terrifying. Anyways, so they it's a cool premise, but there's only so much you can do with it, and I feel like there's probably better technology to learn from out there. We just the schools can't afford it or whatever. So I mean, it's still really good to learn from.
Well, the more people buy that expensive technology, the more it becomes cheaper and affordable for other schools to have it. So
I mean, we have the exact same dummies for emergency training at work too. But sometimes they have parts that don't work, and it makes it kind of hard when you're trying to find a pulse. You look automatically at the one in the neck, right? But if the neck's not working and only the femur one is working, then it's not something you're going to do when you're quickly looking for a pulse on a real person. You're not going to go dig around there for their femoral line, right?
yeah.
So it's not something you think of. So we, you know, I don't know. They're helpful, but they're, you know, it's not like working on a real human.
No. And like learning to assistive technology, I think is progressing a lot, and stuff like that's kind of interesting. I don't think it's translatable to too many other things other than the medical profession, because I don't know when I'm gonna need to physically interact with a human in such a way.
There's also this big thing about like electronic charting, which I think would be helpful, and I think I'd like it, but the resistance is more coming from like usually older nurses who would rather do it on paper. And I don't know, there's merits to both. Like, you can carry the paper around right while you're walking, all that kind of stuff. But the electronic charting, just to me, seems like it'd be easier.
Well, yeah, honestly, the electronic charting would be easy. Like, we have to do something similar in archaeology, which we have to do our field notes. And you've seen my field notes. And when they're done digitally, they can be printed off, laminated, and put into a physical book, but they can also be backed up digitally as well in multiple spots. You don't worry about listening. What we have to do is what we had to do for my field school especially is they gave us these write in rain notebooks, which it's cool. You can write in the rain. If you have a pencil or their specific pen, you can write. You can be pouring, and we tested that out. We had a huge storm roll through while we were outside, and we expected to still write notes. But you can put a tablet in a waterproof case and back it up right then and there, as long as you have signal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can send your reports off like that, like immediately.
Plus, in socialized healthcare like we have, it's harder to advance technologically because it's so expensive.
Yeah, especially with mine, it's not only expensive, but like certain companies can't afford it. There's a lot of private stuff within, not just government stuff, but private stuff within our anthropology, and not every company can afford to do the technology.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that. That I get. I just don't get the resistance to it otherwise.
Yeah. There have been lots of studies done on it, and they don't find much more time-saving or accuracy with the electronic charting, but it really depends on the person. If I was to do electronic charting, I'd be much happier than when I have to sit down and write everything out.
I can write maybe like 50 words a minute by hand, but I can type like upwards of 50 words per minute on a computer. But I don't think the speed is the importance. I think it's the importance to technology is the fact that it's easier to go back to, it's easier to maintain, it's easier to reuse the data you collect from it in other forms when it's digital. When it's paper, somebody then has to take that, put it into a program to figure out the statistics of the patients that have this, that, if things are working. Same with an the site, the statistics of how much faunal remains I've versus how many lithic. Somebody then has to physically take that off multiple notepads, which in some cases are, or notes that are rotting in the bottom of a storage container, and try to translate that. Like a girl actually told me she was doing her field school out in Greece, and the field notes from 5 or 6 years before that, when they went to go try to look at them to get some information, they needed to see how things were back then, because they were excavating in just a nearby spot from that, and they couldn't actually physically pick the books up because the moment they picked up the one book, it legitimately just fell apart. Mm-hmm. That won't happen with digital because you can still physically print it off and have that, but then somebody can back it up digitally in a server.
I mean, there are problems with digital, like there could be no power, things can get lost and deleted, and there could be like corruption and stuff.
Well, that's more human error at that point, because if you speak to Scufflewick, he'll know this because he's a whole expert on servers. But the point is redundancies with computers. I can have a copy on the main server, a backup server, personal computer actually still on the tablet itself that you originally took it with, USB sticks. The point is redundancy and multiple backup companies and multiple different sources. So yeah, if power goes out, it's still on the original tablet and it has a charge, I can just look at it through there. Or you can wait until the power comes back on, it's fine. That's a very minimal problem to have is the power. But when the physical copy is your only copy, and it gets burnt, wet, rotted, legitimately turning to dust in some cases. Paper only lasts so long. And in certain cases, to make it last longer, it costs more to sustain that physical copy.
But they do have medical transcribers, I think it's called.
Yeah, and
where they have to type out everything that's in the charts.
And they're trying to get rid of those guys, not to be mean to them, but it's an unnecessary cost. Why should I, when I have the ability to put a tablet in every nurse's hands, do I have to pay a team of people still to take the physical notes that you wrote, transcribe them onto the computer, and then back them up?
Do you know how easy it would be for one of those tablets to get stolen, though?
And no more hard than somebody's medical records being stolen. But here's the cool...
But if the nurses are carrying it around and doing their assessment while they're in front of the patient...
Easier to go back to on a digital one.
Yeah, but if someone is more likely to steal an iPad than they are a clipboard.
True. But the nice thing about technology is, for one, you can actually set it up to back up immediately, right? So you can have it constantly saving to a computer, so that the physical records aren't lost. And as far as the machine itself, there are tracking technologies on that actually allow you to wipe the memory off of it if it gets stolen and track it. And there's additional technology that's coming out every day to track stuff like that. There's a new GPS tracking sticker. Like, fuck, it's a GPS thing that tracks within 20 feet, and it sticks, it's the size of a sticker, and it sticks to the back of whatever object you put on. You can also set up to alarm when they try to leave, just like when you're in a store. Have sensors at the front door. If somebody tries walking off the unit with the beep, 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 and you're like, fuck you, asshole, get the... Technology in education and workplaces should not be something that we should be afraid of. Hell, people were resistant to pens when they first came out. Ballpoint pens. Do you know how fucking stupid that is?
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm surprised people aren't afraid of those Roomba vacuum machines because they're going to take away jobs from people who janitorial staff. Like, it gets ridiculous. And it comes back into that same argument from the Industrial Revolution. There's always going to be a small group of people in the Industrial Revolution, they were known as Luddites, that are afraid of new technology. And there are some legitimate, like your Jukebox, your brother talked about, there are people who make some legitimate arguments against it. But historically, and that's part of my job in anthropology and anthropologists in general, is to help. There's actually certain companies that are hired by the government to say, here's a new system that we're looking at. Is there anything historically that's similar to how we're doing things? Usually with policies, not so much technology, but with policies. Did any government centuries ago have a similar policy? Why did it work or not work? And you can sometimes actually translate them, and that's the job of some of those companies, to translate them to nowadays and see if the policy would work. Because if it didn't work back then, it probably won't work now, right? It's the same with this kind of stuff. And, historically proving new technology leads to good things, but always will there be a temporary, what am I supposed to do until those new jobs come?
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if the Luddites had one out in the Industrial Revolution and we went back to what it was before the machines. Yeah, the environment would be doing better, but I wouldn't be able to have this podcast right now.
What was the point of this topic again?
Educational technology.
I feel like we veered off.
We veered off, but it is similar. We're talking about thing in the workplace. A lot of this stuff can translate. If you have technology being used in a hospital for that means they have to use it in the class. And usually it gets tested out in classrooms before it makes its way to you. Weirdly enough...
hell yeah. Because I remember in school, the blunt filter cannulas, we use those all the time. And then when I got to work, I could never find them on the units. And they were only introduced a couple of months ago. And I was like, what? Like, they had the blunt cannula needles, but they didn't have the blunt filter ones. And I was always like, why can't I find them? It's because we didn't have them.
No.
We had them in school, though.
They always get started off in school. And way educational stuff works, from my understanding, especially here in Canada and specifically Alberta, is they test new teaching styles and usually implement new teaching technologies. And
Don't even talk to me about new teaching styles. We had the shittiest teaching style in the world. So...
The University of Alberta at one point had context-based learning, which is in their first years, essentially first-year nursing students teaching other first-year nursing students about nursing. So let's not go there. But usually what happens outside of university, something like in a pre-secondary and elementary schools, is they start off in elementary with a new teaching style. So look, we had here in Alberta that new math.
Mm-hmm.
That started off in grade 1, then grade 2, then grade 3. Then they started. And eventually, if it hadn't got nixed, eventually it reaches the high school. So
I mean, like, you have to, because you can't just start a grade 12 on new math. They have 12 years of old math. You can't just, they're going to fail. So you have to start it at grade 1.
But here's the catch-22 to that. So if you start in grade 12 and then work your way back, yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard for that grade 12 student, but you're also but here's the problem. Then you're fucking with their chances of getting into university, because if they don't get the new math, then they might not get the marks to get into university. But at the same time, they probably would have also caught some of the issues with the new math or any new policy sooner, and you're not fucking somebody else's base education up.
No.
Yes.
No, because, like, that grade 12er would not need new math to get into university. The universities would not start needing that as a requirement until those people who are in grade 1 are ready to go to university.
No, you don't get how that works. So let me put it this way. If they started in the opposite end in grade 12, your math 30 period you took? The math 30 period, for all those grade 12 students, if they decided to do it that, say like this past year, decided to try grade 12 students on new math, then that math 30 period would be taught with new math. If you didn't understand new math because you spent 11 years learning the old math, and they didn't do good on the new math that 1 year, they don't look at your grade 11 math to get into university. They look at your grade 12, and if they decide to test out grade 12 math...
Yeah, but that's why no one's going to start at grade 12. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yes, that's the catch-22. So if you start off them, but on the other hand, they already have a base. So say if they realize their mistake, and they're like, shit, we're going to give all the students a chance to fix that. We'll take their grade 11 math, we'll do whatever, and allow them to university, and the universities ignore that experimental year. They still have 11 years of old math to fall back onto. So it's kind of like, yeah, I get why they're not starting off in grade 12, but here's the other problem with starting off at the elementary for this stuff. Is with stuff like, I say, like new teaching stuff. Like technology is one thing, but new teaching styles like this math, the problem with the new math and why parents were upset with them starting in elementary is that's their base to their math. And math is something you build up on. It's, you learn this, then you learn that, then you learn that. So if I start you on new math, and by grade 4, like this happened to some students here, they realize, shit, this new math isn't working. That's a student who now learned 4 years of new math, didn't work, and now has to catch up on 4 years of old math to continue on through elementary, junior high.
Elementary school math barely matters. So, like...
It's still a lot to catch on. By grade 4, you were learning... Grade 3, you just started to learn division. Grade 4, you're still now going to go into more complex division and multiplication within the 3 digits. That's a lot to catch up.
I mean, they were still being taught that.
Except they weren't. Have you ever seen new math?
No.
New math is retarded. And the thing is, parents couldn't help out. And when this one parent got in trouble here in Alberta, actually specifically here in Edmonton, because she got sick of her 8-year-old daughter not knowing math. She would bring home her math homework and be like, I don't understand this. The teacher can't explain. Can you explain? She took one look at it, and you know what it was? It was something like she was in grade, so that would be grade 4.
How old was she? 8?
8.
No, that's like...
Grade 3?
2.
No, 6, 7, 8, grade 3.
Right, yeah, 3.
So grade 3, her 8-year-old daughter couldn't figure out what 10 plus 2 was in the new math. And here's the sad thing, is that the parent tried figuring out, she went to the instruction book that her daughter was given. She couldn't figure out how to do 10 plus 2 in the new math. So she taught her Her daughter, yeah, it significantly makes it more complicated. So here's the issue with it. It's not a bad thing, but it's something that maybe should have been taught in grade 10, not started off in grade 1. Because what it does is it's similar to physics, how you learn math and physics.
Maybe grade 7 then, because that's when you start getting like the algebra and stuff.
So the thing is, what it does is it teaches you a more a general idea. You're not memorizing stuff. You're actually, if you learn it properly, and I got it. Once I learned it, this is a more like out there kind of style that teaches you more how math works, how to rearrange formulas and stuff. And it's not memorization. It's actually understanding what's going on inside of math. Whereas old math, the elementary stuff is just basically memorization. What's 1 plus 1? What's 1 plus 2? What's 1 plus 3? Then you move off to what's 2 plus 1? 2. And eventually it's just memorization. That's the whole point of Mad Minutes. By the time you get up to the actual stuff in grade 7, which is actually the more theoretical understanding math, understanding algebra, you have a basis of memorization, simple stuff in your head. What the new math was doing was a new style of math that didn't require memorization, but required the students in grade 1 to understand math. Why is 1 plus 1
developmentally 2? Though they can't do that?
Yeah, like that's why the parents were even having this is like something akin to like algebra, but doing it with addition. Because that sounds like
abstract thinking.
It is. It's abstract math.
Kind of shows up later.
But they wanted the students to learn it now in grade 1, and that's why it didn't work. But see, that's a bad example of
poorly executed.
So that's poorly executed. So, but sometimes it does work. Some things like you have like tablets we mentioned being introduced into students. Tablets work very well in the early years because it's like it grabs the kid's attention. It's flashy. They're learning with games and videos, and the teachers are working to fit that in, but also still doing physical work. And they start that off in grade 1. If it doesn't work with a grade 1 student, the tablet in class is not going to work with a grade 12 student. So I get that, and if you mess them with technology, you mess up, it's a very quick switch back to paper, and that doesn't affect them in the long run. So it's kind of like I see the issues with bringing in certain new technology and new stuff because like you had the new math. Well, you just fucked a generation of kids' base to their math learning.
4 years of kids. Not a generation.
That's 2 more years they had in elementary school to catch up on 4 years of learning. It's still a lot. Like, let me ask you something. If I take away your 4 years of education in university, right? And told you, and it, like I erased it, and I told you to go do nursing. It's hard for adults to sometimes remember that stuff in elementary school isn't hard for you anymore. And now that you think about back to it, that was really simple shit. But we all forget that we all had somewhat troubles learning it when we were in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. So now imagine losing 4 years of your education and having to relearn another system in 2 years before you hit junior high, which is still using.
Yeah.
A lot of parents were upset with that, and I can get why. And that's why sometimes I think new technology can have legitimate things for people being hesitant for bringing new shit in. Like, I don't know. I'm a person who likes technology being brought in, but I also grew up with technology, some schools experimenting. My school was one of the first schools in our town to bring in a Macintosh computer. The big old square ones before the blue ones that used to have that you see in all the 90s movies. Yeah, we had the one of the original Macintosh with the big floppy disk that was like that and big, like 4 inches by 5 inches floppy disk. And that's how I learned how to type on a computer first in kindergarten. But you know what? That was the choice of the vice principal and one teaching assistant to decide to do that. And I think that's the thing, is it's a personal choice at this point, not a policy. Remember, if you liked what you heard today, please remember to subscribe and like the video. And if you would like to hear anything particular, don't forget to comment down below. Thank you and have a nice day.